Hello, fellow Star Trek fans. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Clonestar podcast. I am your host, Mike Overton, and joining me in the co-host seat this week is my dear friend, Joseph Hurley. Show, how are you doing this week?
Not too bad, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Now, this week, we're delighted to be joined by an actor and a producer of stage and screen who's been in such plays as Rent, Fiddler on the Roof, and The Music Man, as well as in TV series such as Rookie Blue, How to Die Alone, and of course, we know her best for playing Commander Lorna Jemison on season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. As well as she is the founder of Tabia Studios, we are delighted to welcome the incredible Zahra Bentham to the show. Zahra, thank you so much for joining us this week.
What a warm welcome. Thank you guys. I'm so happy to be here.
I think that's one
I
thing
have
we do well, isn't it? Is intros. I think it was James Frayne who asked me to record it and send it to him, so he could just play it to people.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
oh,
so
oh,
good. Thank you. I'm
oh,
happy
Mike,
to be here.
it gets even better because I'm going to read a specific intro that was written about Zara, which is even more impressive than anything we could put
Oh,
together. So
Ooh.
it says Zara
oh
Bentham is a
gosh.
multi-hyphenate storyteller with a remarkable ability to chameleonize. I didn't know that was even a verb, but it is herself in front of and behind the camera, adapting to anything she touches. What an absolutely remarkable intro there. Sarah,
Thank
how do
you.
you feel when you kind of read something like that about yourself?
You know, I feel like, that is very true to some regard, I feel like I don't know. I've been in this industry for so long that like bios to me are hilarious. Because it's like, yeah, yes, that's great. But there's so much more to like a bio than in most cases you can't put your whole life into a bio. But that was very sweet. I don't know who did that one, but that's a good one. I'm gonna actually, can you save this recording and send it to
We will
me?
That's
send
your,
it to you. Don't worry.
it's going straight into your LinkedIn profile now. You can kind of
Thank
update it,
you.
that kind of thing as well. So,
Perfect.
so Sarah, where does your story start then? Like, we know kind of what you've done kind of to this point and all that, but like, did you grow up in a kind of a creative household, or where did your creative spark come from?
Honestly, it came from music. So that's where it started for me. And that was when I was really young. So my mom and my eldest sister, they're both singers. And the classic, like, black girl growing up in the church and singing, that was like a thing for me. Um, and then sports took over my life. So I never actually got to like truly develop in the way that I think initially wanted to in regards to music. So it transitioned into sports for me. And I was playing basketball for a large part of my life. I was playing basketball both outside of school, so AAA basketball, and then also in high school once I got to high school. So I was heavily immersed in that world, all while going to Wexford Collegiate School for the Arts, where I was doing drama focus, music theater, dance. I was doing everything. Um, so that's essentially where it started, and then I took it more serious in grade 10, got myself an agent in Toronto, and then just keep developing I kept on developing my skills and transitioned slowly from theater into film and television. And years later, we're here.
I have to ask you a question. What's the best basketball game you ever played in?
The best basketball player. Well, or best basketball that I game I
Game you
played.
ever, yes.
That's tough. I mean, so I was a captain of both of my teams. I was also very much a hustler on my team. So like most games were really great games for me. That's hard. It
We
was
always
probably
ask the
like a
easy
tournament.
questions.
It was probably like a tournament that I played in the States. I don't know. I
I'm going to make it even harder for you now, Zara, because I've asked you
Okay.
what your favorite game was. Right now, I'm going to even ask you a worse question. What's the best score you ever? What are, like, best basket you ever shot?
Oh man, this was one of the games. I can't remember how much I scored that night, but before this game, I was just playing as a point guard and my team was down. And for whatever reason, I was like, well, it's time to shoot threes. So for the duration of the game, I was just popping out threes and we won that game. And my coach was like, where did this come from? I was like, well, I guess I'm a shooting guard now. Yeah, and from that point on, that's all I really did was I shot 3-pointers.
Oh my word. And like in terms of say who you are in terms of your personality and things like that and how confident you are, was that always the case? Or were you ever kind of a quiet, shy, reserved type of person? Or have you always been kind of like, well, larger than life in the grand total of
Yeah.
17 minutes we know you? I'm just curious, like what is your how has your personality developed over the years?
It's definitely developed. I think I still am very shy, actually, and I do have moments of I know the eyebrow raise. No, I am. Truthfully, I really am. I can be very quiet and very much in my shell, but I think over the years, it's especially being in this industry, you kind of like can't be that way. And you have to be able to stick up for yourself. And so yeah, I think being in film and television, being in, Hollywood, if you will, has shaped how I show up in spaces and rooms. But yeah, I feel like I've always been the quiet type. Like if you were to talk to my family, it'd be like, yeah, Zara's always been quiet. But yeah, I'm older now. I'm grown and like to get shit done. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. To
Yep.
get
Oh my
shit
God,
done.
she sweared, Mike. Oh Jesus Christ. What's
Interview's
happened?
over now.
Turn it off. Just turn it
Right,
off.
thanks
Just
everyone.
no,
We'll see you next week.
see you next week. Bye.
Oh my gosh. To get shit done, you gotta be able to assert yourself, especially being a Black woman like myself. We get overlooked many times over. So it's just, yeah, I have to be this way.
Do you
Yeah.
know, I
I
have
was
visions now of you just storming into a room with this fabulous dress going, I am here.
That's exactly how it goes down. How did you know?
in my in my trawl through your Instagram earlier on, I'm not a weirdo. I was
No,
noticing
you're
that one of
good.
your most recent posts was you don't like the cold and that you
Yeah.
normally stay away from people as well. So that kind of plays into the
Yeah.
whole you're the nice, quiet, shy, retiring type who kind of likes your own company. Would that be the case, or
Yeah.
do you prefer that kind of solitude in your own, or do you prefer being kind of in a room filled with people?
As I've gotten older, and especially I think this year in a very transitional phase of my life, like I think I really have started to enjoy my own company and being like very happy in my own space. I was born in June. I'm a June baby, Cancer, so naturally I don't like the cold. I mean, I came into the world in warmth, so why would I like the cold? Anyway, so I enjoy being, cozy, snuggly, having something warm in my hand. That's just my thing. And sitting in solitude and sitting in like reflection is like a thing for me as of late that I really just enjoy doing. So, yeah, I think I was very much like that when I was younger too. So going back to like, the younger Zara, I feel like I'm in a space of.
And in terms of, and say, playing basketball and things like that, what was the decision to transition towards doing theater and trying to give that a go? Because like they're fairly kind of polar opposites to each other, and
They
also
are,
what?
they are, but they aren't. They are, but they aren't.
Mm.
Um, it was my sister. So Aisha, she middle
Are
child, she
are
was
you
going to
blaming Aisha in this situation for
no,
your
I'm
basketball
not.
dreams being ruined? Aisha, that's
No.
very no. We don't like Aisha in the show anymore. No, absolutely not.
She gonna come for you. No, I'm kidding. Um, no, my sister, I give full credits to my sister. She was also playing basketball at the time and she played a few years before me within the
Whoa, hang on.
same.
Hang on. Who was better basketball player, you or Aisha? Honest answer.
For those listening, she said Aisha. No.
Definitely me. But hey, it's okay. We're not even gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it. No, but she started, she really has like, you know, I give it to my sister. She really has been like the sister that I've looked up to. She started basketball. I followed in her footsteps. She went to Wexford. I followed in her footsteps. So I think by seeing her shows when they had like their annual variety shows and seeing her on stage and being like, oh, like I think I could do that. Like I sing. I think I could probably catch on dancing as well. So yeah, it was just a matter of seeing it and being like, oh, I could attain to that, and then did it. But how it is similar, I'll explain this. Being an athlete has given me the ability to have this like mindset of, sounds cheesy, but mindset of a warrior in the sense, like really looking at the full plan, the full scope of a situation, knowing that it's so much bigger than me and it's really like team based. It's helped me. Being an athlete has helped me be the actor and be in the industry that I'm in. 100%.
And like, so it didn't daunt you in any way to say, I've played basketball, that's fine. I'm going to do this thing, give theater a shot. I'll be in front of a crowd watching me very closely. I'll have to, enunciate. I might have to sing. I might have to dance. I might have to do this and that. Did that phase you in any way in terms of, say, making that decision to change? Or how did I know the answer to that would be an absolute, unequivocal
No, it
no?
just felt right. It just felt like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. I think because I was already singing, I knew that I had the ability to be creative in that sense. And so I kind of just like fell into it and I was like, oh yeah, there's nerves, of course, on days of like shows and stuff. But like, I was like, there's nothing I can't do. I think I've always innately had that in me.
So I'm going to, unfortunately, Aisha, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry, right? But I have to ask yet another question of your sister. Zara, who's the
Yes.
better singer, you or Aisha?
Me. Aisha doesn't sing, but my eldest sister, Jamila, she sings. And I would say she has a better voice than me. Her range is like crazy, but she doesn't perform. Like
All
that's
right,
not her thing. She's very shy.
Zara, if that's the case, can you get your older sister on the phone, please? And can you leave this podcast? We talk to her now about the singing
Let
ability.
me call her. Let me call her.
So what were some of the first plays that you took part in then? Like, and how did you find kind of like rehearsals, learning the lines and things like, again, you seem to be very confident in terms of taking all of these kind of things on. Was there ever an element at any point of self-doubt in you that you could achieve in this field?
Okay, so the first play that I took on, this was in like grade 6. Was it grade 6? Yeah, it was grade 6. So I was doing, funny enough, I was doing like summer camps at Wexford before I even went to Wexford. And one of my first ones was like Les Mis. Um, and then I did everything from like Les Mis, Fiddler on the Roof, Hairspray, Evita, um what is some other yeah, and then we do like inserts of like certain songs and stuff from certain musicals. But yeah, I think it's a good question. I think I self-doubt myself more now than I did in my past, and I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's like because life is, I guess there's more pressure, and as a kid you're not thinking about so many things that you kind of just like show up and do it. Yeah, I think I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. Like it was like, okay, yeah, like I'm here, I enjoy it. I was heavily in sports at the time too. And so I'm like, well, I gotta show up. I had rehearsals, I had practices. I was a very busy child. I don't even know how I was able to do what I did now that I look back. And I was working, I had like 3 jobs. Like how I can't even like get out of bed sometimes. So like I don't know how that happened, but
It's
We did
because as a child, there is no care in the world, is there?
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it is.
we did a course in work recently on imposter syndrome and things like that, and I was messaging
Yeah.
one of my colleagues back and forth, and we were saying that there's always a reel that does the rounds on Instagram, and it's
Mhm.
basically kind of saying that like when you were a small child, and like if kind of things came naturally to you in terms of studying and all this, like you thought you were the best thing in the world because, oh, this is easy. I
Right.
can do this simply. But as you got older and then like you mightn't pick things up as fast, what would happen is you wouldn't just say, oh, I just need to work a bit harder at this. You would
Right.
suddenly feel that, oh, wait a second, I'm a total imposter. I'm a fraud and I'm going to
Right.
be found out. So
That's
technically, that's how
exactly
I
it.
live my life every single day, going, some
Right.
point, they're going to figure out that I'm a total imposter, I'm a fraud, and I don't belong here at all.
I I completely feel the same way. I just even sometimes stepping on set, like even with Star Trek, I'll say, I'm like, are they sure they like made this casting right? Like, I'm like, I don't know if I could. I had a whole moment actually on set one day. This was like they threw me into the ringer. They're so evil for that, but it's fine. There was a
Fine. It's
scene,
absolutely fine. It's absolutely grand. My
one
therapy
of
session
my
is only going to
first
long at this point.
days was insane. It was like the ship was getting blown up. There was shit flying everywhere, and we were like trying to navigate. So I'm like, we got to shake while there's things like saying our line. So it's like, it looks like to the audience that we're in what we're in. Anyway, I completely blanked on my lines, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my gosh. Like I had a whole moment, but it was just it was a very real moment to say, like, are they sure that they casted the right girl? Like this is this is just crazy. Like the amount of pressure that was on me in that moment to get things right was wild. But I mean I did it and it was fine. Um yeah, it was fine. It ended up being just such a fun day, but I definitely had a moment of like, there's so much happening. Yeah.
Was it a Jonathan Frakes episode?
Um, was it Jonathan? Yeah, it was. It was.
At
It was. It was.
least
Oh,
there was
he's
no one
amazing.
better to blank for because, well, it's
I
Frakes.
know. I know. It was. It was. Oh, I have a story for you for him as well.
In terms of, say, when you started doing your plays and all that kind of thing, at what
Mhm.
point did you say, this is actually something I could actually make a career out of and say, I'm going to actually try and give this a proper shot? When did you kind of make that decision? Was it a kind of a eureka moment or just you were going by going, actually, I'm really good at what I'm doing here?
Yeah, it was by grade 11. I honestly, it became a lot. I was like traveling. So when we had our variety shows that would come up, there would be a lot of rehearsals, obviously, and we would actually be rehearsing on Saturdays as well. We'd go into school to go rehearse on Saturdays. Um, and I was heavily at a point in my like basketball career where I was traveling to the States like every other weekend doing tournaments. And so between rehearsals for school and then like practice for basketball in high school and then outside of high school. It just became a lot. And so I had to make a decision. I mean, my parents didn't think at the time that I had to make that decision, but I did. And yeah, it was by grade 11 where I'm like, okay, I got to make the choice. And with that, by that time in high school, I was like, okay, I've done this for, 3 years now. I feel like I'm like, I am really good. I'm catching on to things quicker than most people are or had. So I'm like, okay, I can really see myself going down the avenue of like film and television. And then I also weighed options and I was like, at the time, I mean, WNBA now is like bigger than it's ever been
Yep.
in life. But at the time, the highest level that you could go, I mean, if I went to a university to go play, I'd probably end up being a coach. And that's just not the path in which I saw myself. So I was like, I feel like now's the time to make the decision to really think about what my future is going to look like. And so, yeah, I chose the arts. And I mean, being in the arts, you can go literally down any avenue. And there's so much more to discover in film and television than there would have been in basketball.
What age were you at this point when you made that decision then, Zara?
Um,
Because you're saying year 11 and because we're on the other side of the pond, we have no clue what age
I
profile
want to
is
say,
you.
dang, how old was I? I want to say I was probably like 1920. I feel like.
You're
Yeah,
kind of looking at us for confirmation here, and
I
I'm
am.
going to say
And
to you,
you're
we
not
have no
giving me
clue.
anything. Yeah. How old are you when you're in grade 11? I don't know. I feel
I'm
like it's
literally
20.
Googling this right now.
Yeah, same. Hold on. Grade.
Also, while they're Googling, for all our Irish listeners, Zara keeps on
Oh,
referencing Wexford. It is not the Wexford that is in the sunny south east of our country at all. It's a totally different Wexford, guys. So Zara has
guys.
not been over in Gorey in County Wexford or anything like that at all. It's a totally different Wexford, just to clarify.
So,
Yes.
according to EDU Canada,
Hmm.
you complete high school at age 17 or 18.
Okay. So
So
then
that
I
would be
had to have
grade 11
been,
then.
yeah, so I had to have been like, yeah, 16, 15, 16, right?
Bloody hell.
Because
You
grade
made
11, because we do till grade 12.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, so then I would have been,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, yeah. Sorry. Quebec is the only one that ends in grade 11.
yeah. So, yeah, grade 11. Yeah, so 16, 17. So I was roughly about, yeah, about that age. Yeah, so a lot younger than I even thought. Look at that. That's crazy.
bloody hell.
Um,
I'm 41 and I still don't know what I want to do in my life. For the love of God.
It's okay. Everyone's at, it comes at different times for everyone, but but yeah, at that
So,
age I made the decision and I haven't looked back really since.
and like, were your parents completely supportive of it? Because like, you strike me as someone, Zara, that you are very you're a persuading person in terms of if you say to someone, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, they're going to believe that you're going to do it because of the confidence that you have in you.
Thank you. Well, I'm so grateful for my family. I think they've always been so supportive of me. I mean, we've been supportive of everyone within the family, but specifically basketball. Um, my whole family would come and travel with me, which was like a time. And it would be like this thing that everybody would be involved with. So when I made that decision, everyone was not happy because they're like, well, like we can't travel anymore. Like that's not fun.
We like doing our weekly trips
Like
to America.
yeah, they're like, well, so what do we do? So what do we do now? And I'm like, well, I don't know, figure it out. But no, they were super supportive. So they really did try to persuade me to say like, Z, I think you should consider like still continuing. But I was very adamant about like, no, I just can't. I just don't have enough like time. I wanted to fully like immerse myself in film and television, and then getting myself an agent in grade 10, like that was the point of like, okay, it's now we got to take it to the next level type of thing.
And like, what were some of the first things you did then once you got an agent? Again, I completely just this is bonkers stuff. Like, just basically at age 16, going,
Yeah.
"Hey, listen, guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to get an agent." Like, showing up to school, like, "Where's your homework? Hang on a second, talk to my agent about this." Like, how dare you ask this question?
Oh no.
So
Well,
I've
because we were
completed level basketball. I'm now on to level acting. Yep.
right. Oh my gosh. Because we were in a school that like appreciated and focused on, well, acting, I should say. There was a level of like understanding while, Wexford, and I'll say it loud and proud because I'm still very close with my teachers now to this day, but shout out to Anne Miriam. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Anne Miriam.
Happy
She
birthday, Miriam.
she was the director of the program, and she made it very clear that like while you can go out and get an agent, you still have like this is your home and you still have to respect the rules that we have and like show up for rehearsals. Like you had to audition to get into this program, so it's a privilege to be here type thing. But yeah, I mean it was understood, it was appreciated, and I think yeah, getting an agent it just made all of the sense to happen at that point in time. And then some of my other like classmates also had agents. So it would just be like a shorthand of conversation of like auditions, and like it just seemed it was fluid enough to do. And it was happening at a time in which it just made sense for it to happen.
And in terms then of, say, when you were growing up, who were some of your inspirations? Like, who were some of your role models growing up?
Ooh. That's a good one.
See, Zara, we don't ask easy questions here. We ask the hard questions.
Man, that's a good one. Role models. I think for the longest time, I think I didn't really know, who actually inspired me, or someone that I looked to be like, oh, like I see that, I want to do that. But it was Zoe Saldana, and is when I watched Colombiana. That movie, for whatever reason, just hit in a different way. It like made me see myself, I guess, while watching and being like, oh, I inspire to be like that and do like films like that. Now, have I ever done an action badass woman? No, not yet. But we're putting it out into the universe. It's gonna happen. Maybe I'll write something actually. Maybe I'll write something like that. And just cast myself. But
Oh, hang on a second. If
I
you
would say
do that, Zara, you have to put us in the special mentions because this idea originated on our episode here. So please, we'll keep an eye
absolutely.
on the credits.
Or how about this? At some point in Starfleet Academy, a certain Captain Lorna Jemison turns up.
Yes.
Badass
Yes.
captain with a badass ship. I think there we go. It ticks all the boxes, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys got it. Don't worry. I'm pretty good with that. I have my feet planted. I never forget. I never forget the people that have crossed my life for sure. No, but yeah, the other role model, that's oh man. You know, I like to say like it's good to look at the people that you have around you. I think my role models were literally like my sisters, my mom, my grandma, like my family members of like doing what they did and coming from a line of, singers in particular in my family. So my grandma was also a singer. And just aspiring to just like be fearless and like go forward with whatever I felt was right and yeah, to follow my passions and my dreams. So that's what they did. So why would I do anything different?
And Zara, if you're a family of singers, what was one of the main songs that she all enjoyed singing together?
You know, well, I never sang with my grandma really. But with my mom and my sister, there was this like folk song. So my mom used a part of a heritage singers out here in Canada, and I can't remember the name of the song, but there was just one song that we will all sing and all harmonize to. And yeah, that was one song that was like a go-to for us that we always loved. And we haven't sang that in a really long time, but maybe I'll remind them and we'll do it for like the holidays. That
I
would
was
be
going to say
fun.
for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can pause this interview right here at this exact moment and you can sing it together while you're sitting around the fire watching this interview. I think it'd be perfect in that
Yes.
situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I should turn to them and say, I've asked you who your inspirations are, who your role models are. Do you
Mhm.
think, I'm jumping a small bit ahead now in terms of, say,
Mhm.
time and all that. With what you've achieved, do you feel that you are an inspiration? Do you feel you're a role model to, say, younger people coming up?
Oh, wow. I feel like that's a lot of pressure. I'm sure I have been, and there has been people that have expressed that, especially other, little Black girls that are coming up under me. It's always like a trippy moment to hear, like, oh my gosh, you've inspired me to like do this, or you've inspired me to like follow my dreams and my goals after seeing you on such and such a show. Like that was just like, whoa, I never saw that before. So yeah, it's so humbling. I'll say that. It's so humbling and truly does like hit a soft spot in my heart to like continue doing what I do. And I think, I've been in a space as of late over the last few years, building out my production company with a great friend of mine, and I call her sister friend, Kiana Madera. Um, and we have really been in a space of like trying to give back to our community, and creating spaces that allows that to happen, to create space of conversation. So we've done over the last 2 years, we did a panel discussion during Toronto International Film Festival for actors, and where people have really enjoyed the conversations that we've curated. And then this past TIFF, we also did a sound bath. I don't know if you guys are aware of what sound baths are, but it's basically like these sound bowls. It's instruments that you use,
Yep.
and you like it's like a meditation, if you will. And you like the sound bath practitioner will play these bowls, and these sounds will essentially heal your body through your traumas or things that you've experienced in life. And being able to like give back to our community of actors, producers, writers, just people in our industry is just such a good feeling, because like I feel like there was never really that when I was coming up. So I'm like, okay, how can I, how can we do this and create spaces for our friends or family or just random people that need it?
And like when you started getting into, say, acting on TV and movies and things like that, when did you get your big break?
A big break. I still feel like I haven't gotten my big break, you know? But okay, I mean, in regards to what some other people would say, they would say like self-made was like maybe a break. There was a break there. Star
Which was a
Trek.
great series anyway. I
Yes,
say show,
yes, it
but the
was.
series.
Yeah. Yeah, I still feel like I'm in a place where like I'm right there, and I just to like tip it over even further. I'm ready for that next opportunity, but I don't feel like and maybe honestly that opportunity will come and I'll still feel the way I do. And truthfully, I feel like that's what's gonna happen. I don't feel like I ever really have gotten my break. I don't know.
But if you haven't gotten your break, how can you have set up a production company then in that situation without feeling that you've achieved something?
Well, I think I have always like pushed forward in like being like a go-getter in that sense. I feel like even if I didn't get my break, I'd still make an opportunity for myself, and like
Hmm.
put together the people that I do have in my life, for the people that are in the industry that are doing great things, and like, okay, how can we now make the next, I don't know, the next genre of film, or how can we make the next great rom-com? Like I have all the resources around me, so um yeah, I feel like I still would have had the production company regardless.
But do you feel that do you feel you'd be worried that if you said to yourself, I've had the big break, I've had the big success, that it might go to your head and as a result you mightn't be as challenged and as motivated to try and do all the things that you're doing? Because sometimes, as you know yourself, success can
Mm,
go to people's heads, and what happens is then is they stagnate because if the goalposts haven't moved and they've achieved their goal, what is there
right,
left to achieve? But by
right.
consistently moving the goalpost, you're constantly kind of trying to improve and learn and grow and develop and things like that. Do you think that's how you approach everything in terms of saying that even when you've achieved something, you immediately then say, okay, I've done that, but the next step is going to be this, and that's the next target I need to aim for? Do you feel
Yeah.
that's what you do? And does that then keep you fresh in terms of, say, driving yourself forward every day?
Yes, that is exactly it. I don't think I'm ever, satisfied. Like this past September for TIFF, having a film in Toronto International Film Festival, planning two events during TIFF, and then also having How to Die Alone drop in the middle of all of that
Yep.
was a lot. And after it all kind of happened, I was like, okay, and how are we going to do it again next year, but to top that? And everyone's like, Zara, like, chill. And I'm like, no, but see, like, I think I have an obsession with topping my tops. Like, truthfully, I
Yeah.
do. And so, already thinking about like what I can do, what we can do for next year, like how are we going to top our tops? I mean, that's what it's about. Like I don't ever feel like I settle in, um, you know, what has already transpired. Anne Miriam, the director of our school, Wexford, she always told us, you're only as good as your last show. So that's always stuck with me. That's like imprinted in my DNA at this point. And so yeah, everything's like, yeah, once that's done, okay, great. You did it. And now what? Like people have already forgotten about it. People haven't forgotten about it, but people have forgotten about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's old news. And especially living in a day and age where like, things have turned over so quickly. Like, yeah, it's okay. What's next?
It's
That's
like
my mindset.
it's like when a new show drops on Netflix and everyone is talking about it for like 6 weeks, and like if you're not in that 6 weeks, you may as well like it may as well have happened like 40 years ago because it's
Right.
gone,
Or
it's done. Like,
even less than 6 weeks, sometimes even two
yeah.
to 3 weeks, and that's it. So yeah, we're in a definitely an interesting space and time in regards to like information. We're in a very fast age. So yes, all that to say that yeah, I'm always thinking about like 10 steps ahead and thinking about, okay, how can we now take what we did and like multiply that and help other people, or how can we multiply that and get more of an engagement or whatever. Yeah, that's constantly where my brain is going. It never actually shuts off, so I'm really trying hard in this season of my life to like slow down, as I said in the post on Instagram, of really just slowing down my mind, really just taking time to like process what even happened.
Mike, I hope you're paying attention to all of this that she's saying
No,
here,
I
because
I
what
don't.
happens,
Sorry.
Zara, with this is every time we approach the new year, I come up with loads of different ideas on the podcast that I have to tell
Yeah.
Mike because Mike has to do all the nuts and bolts, and Mike
Right.
hates those discussions with me in that situation.
I just worry. It's,
It's
it's
good.
when you get a WhatsApp voice note and it goes, Mike, I've had an idea. And it's like, oh God, what now?
Here we go.
What
And
crazy harebrained scheme has he come up with this time?
Mike, because you're
I love
refusing to listen to me in future, I'm going to actually filter these through Zara, so Zara's voice is going to leave you the voice notes going
Yes,
forward.
please hit me up. I will go back and forth with you. I got you.
You'll
Don't
be
worry.
the intermediary.
But Zara, just out of curiosity, it's like in the short time we've kind of spoken to you and gotten to know you, as I've said already, like you're very much a driven, very inspirational individual and things like that. Now
Thank
you're
you.
working in an industry, as we said, like there's so many different personalities, so many different goals, so many different ambitions, but so many different levels within that as well, like from actors, writers, producers, singers, performers, you name it. How do you inspire people then in terms of say how you approach it? How do you interact with people? Like what like obviously look, everyone is different and all that. But what do
Mhm.
you think is your baseline in terms of how you kind of say bring people along on your journey? Because as you said, once you've done something, you achieve something, that's it, that's fine, it's parked, but then the next thing has to come along. And not everybody
Yeah.
can match what you bring to it. So how do you kind of try and get that across to people?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a great
Then look at this now. This
question.
is the best interview we've ever
That's
done.
great. Okay, so two parts to this. I think, I don't necessarily like go out to be like, okay, how can I inspire people? Right. Like I think it's so much more of like inner work that I do, and really just like being real about my approach on everything that I do in life. So when it comes down to, for example, like next year, thinking about what TIFF and what we want to do for TIFF, even outside of working for the production company, outside of like working with community, what would that look like even in the space of like actually creating like work, like creating series, creating TV, film? What does that look like? I've always been in a space where like bringing on my friends has been like it's always been a thing. So like hiring my friends, and Kiana, I can speak for her too because we have the same mindset. Bringing on friends to do the work that we all love to do. I think in my heart, not I think, I know in my heart that it's been placed for me to be a leader. So with that is obviously a lot of responsibility. And sometimes I overly put pressure on myself, but I think I've been given the ability to hold all that I can in my hand and produce at such a high level that naturally, I think, people will look up to someone who does that. Like I think that's just the nature of it. But yeah, I genuinely just tried to not forget about the people that don't have a voice, that like need to be or need to feel seen. I just take the time to make sure those people are being seen, are being heard. Um, yeah, hopefully I answered that. I tried to answer that in the best way I could.
Do you feel that, for right or for wrong, do you feel that the standards you set for yourself are almost too high because, again, you said yourself, you put pressure on yourself more than you would anyone else?
Yeah, I put way too much pressure on myself and my standards are way too high. But that's the challenge because I think I'm always trying to top my tops. And so I think if I aim high, if I aim higher than the average, then I'll at least if I do fall, I'll fall at a place that's still higher than the average.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Right?
But you get it.
So logically, I'm like, okay, yeah, this might feel impossible. And even in the moments of me feeling like things were impossible, I still managed to get it done and with flying colors. So I'm like, okay, this is the method. It's madness, but it's a method.
Mike, I'm very conscious of the fact that if Zahra has to top her top right, if we bring her back like 5 times, we could potentially have the greatest interview that has ever been conducted in human history by
That's
interview
Because you have
exactly
to
it.
constantly outdo the last one.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I get
Oh
that.
my
Glorious.
So same time tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah.
No, Mike,
No
you've made a
problem.
mistake there. It's going to be
Oh.
at the next Toronto International Film Festival where we'll do the interview. It'll be absolutely
We'll do it
off the
live.
charts. That's how
Yeah.
good it's going to be. There's always something because like I try to organize events over the years, nowhere near to what you're doing and things like that. But one of the things I'm always conscious of is that as an organizer, you will never get everything the way that you want it to be. You'll never get 100% of what you want it to be. However, the trick isn't getting 100% for you. The trick is that even if it's 60, 70, 80% for you, it has to be 100% for the audience, for the participants, that they can't see what it is that you've kind of that you're looking at going, oh, I don't like that kind of thing.
Right.
Is that what your aim is with it in terms of saying you've set yourself, as we said, impossibly high standards, but if it does fall, you're still there going, but as long as everyone else is getting 100% of an experience, I'm on board with that.
Absolutely. Things happen, prior to the day or even on the day of it happening. And I think there's just a level of like accepting what the flow is going to be. When we did our panel discussion, the Excellence Journey panel during TIFF this year, one of my videographers backed out. So I didn't actually have anybody to film anything that was as for the recaps of like what happens during, TIFF, I didn't have anyone to do that. And so, at the end of the day, you go with the flow. Like sometimes things are just out of your control and you do all the work and the preparation and, you build this foundation that's hopefully sturdy enough to withstand anything that's going to kind of hit you. But yeah, you have to have a level of just like, okay, like hands up, whatever happens kind of happens. But as long as like there's certain things obviously that are put in place that you want to make sure that you're going to hit. And honestly, like this past year doing the Excellence Journey panel was a moment for me when things didn't go the way that I wanted, was a moment for me to just be like, but Zara, you're still doing it at such a high level and you're doing it, with very little amount of money. You're doing it with very little amount of help. Like you still managed to do all the things and people walked away from it with knowledge and information and perspectives they never had. And truthfully, that's the baseline of it. Like if they can walk away feeling like, wow, I really learned something, or wow, I really felt something, that's the goal. That's the goal. Nothing else really matters.
And
Yeah.
with the TIFF, you hosted panels on Mind Matters, the second annual Excellence Journey panel, as you said, and the Black Excellence Brunch. What is your goal with these? What is it that you want to achieve, and what information do you want to get out, or what do you want to inspire people to do through these panels?
Yeah, so when I first started the production company, I had brought on Kiana Madeira, my producing partner, the co-founder, and initially, we were like, well, we're tired of waiting as actors. I think we can only do so much as actors in this industry. And at a time in which was just coming out off of COVID, like, just wanting a little bit more control over our careers. And so through conversation with Kiana, we started this production company, and in regards to creating content that we wanted to do. Then through conversation, we were like, okay, like, so we're creating content. I mean, we have a whole arsenal of things that, we're about to start pitching for and whatnot come 2025. But, it's been in a space of like, okay, well, what more can we do for the community, for, our fellow actors and actor friends? Like, and so that came from a space of like creating spaces for people to have conversations, to be in a space of trying to understand different people's perspectives. So yeah, we started the Excellence Journey panel as the first one last year, and it was really successful. And we're like, oh, like that was good. Okay, well, like what else can we do? Like, okay, well, like let's add another one. So like, 2025 TIFF, we're planning to do 3 events. We did 2 last year, so why not another one for 2025, But it's just been in a space of like just wanting to give back. I think we believe in our friends and our family so much, and the people that have been in the industry and have had a very instrumental part in our careers, that like we believe in just giving back, as plain and simple as that is, and whoever that can affect along the way, then great. Whether that, well, hopefully it's not in a negative way, but in a positive way, to affect them in a positive way, I think is great. And I think building community too also will help piggyback off of when it does come time for us to release our films, our series that we've been working very hard for over the last year and a half for. So yeah.
So, Zahra, if you need any help from an Irishman and an Englishman, we can definitely recommend.
There's a joke about that somewhere, isn't there?
No, there's a Scotsman in there as well, Mike, and those old jokes.
I know a Scotsman, I know a Northerner.
But Zahra, in the industry, like it's really competitive. Yeah. Like it's like kind of it's pretty kind of harsh and things like that. Like taking the decision to set up like your own production company, it's not an easy one to do. And like in terms of everything that you said in terms of what you want to achieve and all that, and how absolutely wonderful and noble it is, were you worried that other people have tried and failed? And what is it then that ye said, we're going to do something different that's going to make this a success? Because like you seem to be making a success already. What do you think that ye have done that has set ye apart and is giving ye that kind of platform to be a success?
I don't know what the shit I'm doing. Let's be real, okay? Like, I'm falling forward every day. When I initially had the feeling of being like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated as an actor, I want more control over my career. Like, the first thing wasn't to think about doing a production company. I'm like, oh, that would be way too much work. I just want to be hired, to be honest. But after conversations and knowing who I am, being a leader, I'm like, well, maybe I just need to take things into my own hands. And so building out Tabia Studios has come from a place of just like, not knowing. I don't know half the time. I'm still learning a lot. And me and Kiana, I mean, we have conversations all the time, and we'll be in sessions, we'll be in writing sessions, and we'll be like, is that really how it's supposed to go? I'm like, I don't know. Like, this is my first time too, you know? But it's so beautiful because we both have this like burning desire to do this, and like this curiosity that like just keeps giving, if you will. That is just, it's a great place to be in, because we don't know what we're doing. But I think that's the really beautiful part about it, is that once we do learn these things of the industry, it's like, okay, I think in beginning conversations, we spoke about, like, again, giving back to the community, like building out a course, because there's nothing online, believe it or not. Like, when I first started to like try to do research as to like, okay, how do I start a production company? There's nothing. There's nothing. So the beginnings of all of this has literally been like knocking on doors, sending emails, jumping on phone calls, FaceTimes, being like, "Can you give me some insight? I'm like really lost here," and I'm still doing it to this day. Still reaching out to friends, being like, "Hey, like, would really love to just be a fly on the wall while you like do your producer thing, just so I can gain more knowledge and understanding." Because like that's like real tangible time in which seems to be the only way to do it, really. So yeah, to go back to what I was saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm falling forward, and I'm trusting that through me falling, because I know I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to learn, and then we will be able to like create something for people that come after us, or and be able to take what we've learned and then create their own thing. Yeah.
In terms of then, like, going forward, would you prefer to stay in front of the camera, or would you prefer to be directing, writing, producing, or basically would you like to be able to do all of it?
I want to do all of it,
I
because
knew it.
that's
I knew
just
it'd be all of it. I absolutely knew that'd
I
be the
can't
answer.
pick, I can't pick. But while I love to be in front of camera, I do also love to be behind camera. I think there's like, especially now where I'm at right now, it's like I'm really am enjoying like the producing side and like creative side of like, yeah, not being in front of camera. There's so much less pressure, to be honest. I mean,
Mhm.
there's still a lot of pressure, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of like face fronting pressure
Yeah.
of like having to show up and like be everything that you need to be on point, hit your mark, say your lines. Like, it's a lot. It could be a lot. It's nerve-wracking. Like, even I still get nervous to this day, but yeah, I would want to do everything, because why not?
And the hardest question in the whole wide world that I could possibly ask you, I'm going to ask you now, Zara. Since you set
Mhm.
up the production company, have you learned something new about yourself?
Ooh, that's another great one. Okay. I've learned that I just need to get out of my own way. That
Yep. Okay.
if I've been downloaded an idea, to do something, that it's not really my idea. It's like an idea that can help other people. So if I get in my way, I'm blocking the blessing for someone else to learn. So that's been like the biggest lesson this year, is like, yeah, truly getting out of my own way and allowing for things to just blossom and flourish the way that they need to. I think I've always been, I mean, growing up over the years, have been in a space where I'm like, yeah, there's doubt, being in this industry, there's a lot of doubt. You get a lot of no's. There's a lot of what's the saying? The chicken on the wheel, this
Yeah.
industry is very much like that. Or not the chicken, the hamster on the wheel. You got what I
Yep.
was saying. The
Yep.
hamster on the wheel, and just like this nonstop go, 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 go. That can just be like really draining. So anyway, it causes a lot of doubt. And yeah, so that's been my biggest lesson this year, is to just get out of my own way and just allow for things to blossom and flourish the way that they need to.
So would you say then sometimes you're your own worst enemy?
Absolutely.
The best
Without
people
a doubt.
always are.
Oh my gosh. It's the worst. And I sometimes have to talk myself like out of this like narrative and talk that I do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but you got to look at like what's around you, what you've been able to produce, Zara, like what you've been able to produce in a short amount of time or a long period of time or whatever. Yeah, I've definitely like my relationship with self has become a lot stronger this year as well, of just being able to talk to myself nicely and to know when I need to be like, okay, like mind, shut up. You're not wanted right now. You know? Yeah.
Turn the
Did
brain
you
off.
did you
Mhm.
find before you become comfortable with yourself, how did you kind of interact with yourself before that? Like, would you beat yourself up like badly about things? Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I like not kind, not kind to my, and I have my moments, I still have my moments, but really, yeah, I wouldn't be nice to myself. Again, I'd put pressure previous, like so much pressure on myself where it was like, almost like what's the word? Decapitating. Like it was like there was way too much pressure where it's like, oh, I can't even do it type of thing. And then I would talk myself out of doing things. And now while I still put pressure on myself, but it's at a point of like where I could still perform the way that I need to. But yeah, I think I've always had this like unrealistic, idea of how things need to go and how things need to look. And it just is like, girl, relax. Everything's fine.
In
Yeah.
terms then of since you set up the production company, what has been your biggest achievement?
Oh, wow. Biggest achievement, you know, I think we often look at like the big wins and we're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, you did that. That's amazing. And I'm in a space and time also where I'm like, the small wins mean a lot. So as of right now, being in this space that we are for the production company and I've created, for potential projects, and we're looking to start pitching come, Q1 of 2025. Like to me, that's a huge accomplishment. To be able to like fully just dedicate a full year and a half into something. And we were writing a series, we've been creating a series, to be able to like do that, wake up every day, have meetings, hours of meetings, dedicating your time and energy, even while other things in life are going on, that's a win. That's a win. Now, whether or not it gets picked up or whatever, who knows what that's going to look like. If it does, amazing. That's obviously going to be another win. Even if it doesn't in this period of time, that's also a win too. That's just an opportunity for something else to come down the pipeline and for us to work on something else. But I would say, yeah, it's the win has been us being able to focus our energy and time with Tabia Studios and to be able to produce something that we're like really, really excited about.
Mike, I don't know about you, but when Zara was mentioning Q1 2025, I started getting flashbacks to my day job and going, oh dear God, if she says circle back at any point, I might have to just leave the call altogether.
Oh my
Can
All
we,
God.
I'm
can we
gonna
just
say,
can we take this offline?
all I'm gonna say is everyone's Q1 of 2025 seems like it's going to be rammed. I
Oh, it
know
is, of
mine
course,
is
Oh,
going to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
absolutely rammed.
Oh,
I
mine too. Yeah,
Zara,
mine will be
yours
to
sounds like it's going to be at a whole nother level.
that. We should set up a
that's so
support group WhatsApp chat for
What
the
the
for the
Yo,
what?
three of us to
yeah, we
The
talk through
should.
Q1
Q1.
support group.
We should. That's good. No, it's so funny because I never used to actually talk like that. Like I think I started talking like that because I'm like around a lot of more producers and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so for like Q1, Q2, like this is what we're gonna do, blah blah. And like so I've picked up that jargon, which is crazy because I was like at first I was like Q1, what does that even mean? Like I'm such an artsy fartsy, like I'm like, I don't know what that means. But no, that's really funny.
Wait a second, Zara, hang on a second, right? We've talked about the nonsense of Q1 and nonsense talk like that. What are the acronyms that exist in the world that you like? Say, for instance, in my one, it's like HRSS, which stands for HR Shared Services, or HRBP, which is Human Resources Business Partner. You've got to have
Right.
picked up some awful acronyms in your time now, so far, in terms of business speak.
Honestly, I really try hard not to hang on to anything. Like even when like even when they like break things down, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I don't think I've actually like taken things into my vocabulary just yet. I think I haven't reached that point yet.
Mike,
But
put in a meeting reminder with Zara for this time next year, right? And it'll be a totally different Zara we'll meet.
probably.
See,
Vera,
mine are really kind of like bizarre, and like one of the ones I've really got into recently is what is it? It's WYSIWG.
what? That sounds made up, Mike.
No, and it literally stands for what you see is what you get.
Oh wow.
But in the world of web, that is literally the text editor.
Wow. That's
Because what you see is
crazy.
what you get. So that's where you can change the font size and the color and everything else. But yeah, it's literally WYSIWYG.
But it's like
YG.
LeVar Burton signs off his tweets or posts with a massive acronym, and it's "but you don't have to take my word for it."
Yeah.
Jesus, how the hell are you supposed to know that? Um, Sarah, we have to ask you about Star Trek because obviously you
Yes.
appeared in 3 episodes of it. How, in the name of God, did Star Trek come up?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna try to make the story really short, but okay, so I was doing well, it's technically behind camera work, but in front of camera work, I was standing in on the show. And I had
Yeah.
stood in on the show for a few characters actually, but and that like spanned it across a few years actually. But the year that I was on Star Trek, so what year was that? 2022 now? I feel like it was years ago.
Well,
Yeah, because
it
we
was
had
the
the
last
strike.
season, wasn't it, which you had this year, but I think it
Yeah, it
wrapped
was 2 years ago because we had the
recording.
strike. We had the
Yeah,
strike.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it was,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was 2 years ago. But so that year in particular, I was working and I was standing in for Oyo, I believe. Sorry, Oyen. And so I was on set and my stand-in agent had emailed me and was like, "Hey, they want to do some more dates. What are your dates looking like?" And at the time, this TIFF was about to roll around, and I was like, I really wanted to be involved in TIFF, and like they were asking for dates that were going to cross over for TIFF, so I was already like, not really feeling it.
Yeah.
And then I also had a conversation with myself in that very moment too, and I was like, I feel like if I'm going to be on this show, I love being on Star Trek because it's one of the best shows to be on, and I'm sure you've heard that from across the board. Um, and so I had a conversation with myself in that moment, and I said, if I'm going to be on this show, I want to be on the show as an actor, and love that I'm on the show and I get to be around the people that I do. Um, but I'm an actor first, and like stand-in is cool. It's just another job that like could pay the bills. But so I had that conversation with myself. And then I still emailed my agent and I was like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, I'm available. Like, here are the dates, whatever. Not thinking, I was thinking, like, okay, yeah, sure. I could still say no, even if they come back to say, hey, these are the dates that they want to confirm you for. Great. So this was probably like a couple days later. My agent got back to me and she was like, hey, so they said that you're not a good matchup for the girl that you're standing in for. And I was like, not a good match. I mean, I've only been doing this over the last 5 years, but okay. I said, okay, well, whatever. I mean, I said what I said. So I was like, okay, cool. Whatever, it's fine. A week after that, I then get an audition for Star Trek. And I laughed because I was like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if I actually got on the show? I was like, that's crazy. That would be so crazy. Anyway, so did my audition. I sent it in, felt really good about it, sent it in. The next day, they're like, you're pinned. And basically what that means is like, they're looking at you, but we're also looking at other factors, what your rate's going to be, who you're going to be opposite of, does it make sense, all of the things, all the political things, if you will. And so I was like, wow, wow. Well, I got pinned. I mean,
Wait a
that's
second,
great.
Zara. Did they say to you that they would circle back at any point by any
They did.
chance? Oh my gosh,
In
heavens.
Q1 of 22, they're going to circle back.
We'll
They
just
sure did.
we'll take this point offline and we'll discuss.
I love it. They definitely did. We'll circle back and let you know, you guys know, let your team know.
It ended up being a Zoom
Um,
call that could have been an email. Yeah.
right. And so the following day I then got the call that I booked Star Trek, and it was a wild thing because literally less than a month prior I was on set and I was working on that set. And so, my one of my first days coming on set, there was like people had to do like double takes. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, like guys, I'm an actor first, They're like, I know, but like I just didn't think to like see like you were just here like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I
And
know.
now you're in
They're like,
uniform.
right. They're like, wow, you're a part of the show. Like you've always been a part of the show, but I mean you're a part of the show. I'm like, yeah. So that was beautiful. One of my first days now being on set. And this was during the scene was we were in the ship and like shit was going down. We were getting attacked. And Jonathan. So we have our rehearsal. We go through our rehearsal and they all welcome me to the show, which was funny because I'm like, oh, I've already been here. But they welcomed me to the show, and that was super sweet. And so just before we like broke to go back to our trailers to like change our outfits and stuff and get into character, Jonathan, he's like, psst. I was like, hey, what's up? He's like, I just wanted to let you know that I was the one that casted you. And I was like, what? The Jonathan Frakes? Excuse me? He's like, you are a effing good actor. I hope you know that. And I was like, I mean, come on. Like, that's like the best compliment
I was going to
ever
say, that
being
is
in
probably the
space.
highest praise of anybody.
Absolutely. I was like, wow, what an honor. Like, thank you for, bringing me a part of like this story in this sort of way, And I don't even think he really knew that I was actually on the show in a different role and setting prior. But yeah, what a crazy experience. And I feel like that story, always gets people going, especially like the older heads, like my dad. Telling him the story, he's just like, oh my god, yeah, like I know who he is, like, oh my god, I used to watch him. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Please tell me you went, sorry, can you just say that again so I can record this?
Right. I was like, we need to take a photo before the end of the episode. I need to have it so I can show my dad. He's like, absolutely. He was so sweet. I'm so grateful for him. Yeah.
So your dad is a Star Trek fan, obviously, then because or he was obviously a fan from back in the day. Would that be correct?
Right. Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my
Very much
word.
so.
What was
Mhm.
the atmosphere like on set then? Because everybody we've spoken to about working on Discovery has always been incredibly positive about what the atmosphere was like, how everybody got on together, how
Yeah.
Sonequa and Doug Jones were such kind of great ringleaders in terms of keeping everybody motivated and things like that. How was it for you?
Truly, Siniqua is a gem of a human. And I'm sure you've heard that from many, many people. I think, um, she just has a way of like this, almost like this like motherly figure when she's on set and like just make sure everyone is okay. And that's a lot of pressure being number one, having to like do all the number one things that you need to do on set, but then also having such attention to detail for everybody else that's on that set. She is literally one of a kind, and I like really do tip my hat to her because she she's just so great. I've been on other sets where like, number ones just don't really care how the show is, how people feel, whatever. And yeah, she's inspired me actually. She's inspired me heavily to just be able to like own that space and to make people feel so appreciated, so loved, and just felt and seen. So yeah, I really I've given her flowers even when I was doing my stand-in and standing in for her sometimes, you know. We had conversations prior to even me being casted on the show, and I was always just like, wow, like you're so great. Like you really are just so great. Um yeah, a blessing to be able to have like crossed paths with her in those two ways, being her stand-in and her castmate.
And like it was a short time you had on the show, but if you had the chance, would you go back into the Star Trek universe again?
150%. Someone cast me. Take me back. We were so excited because we didn't know that it was gonna get you know, canned after season 6, and like we were all ready. We're like, I mean, I was ready. I was like, I only have three episodes in, so I'm ready to like go a full season. Let's go. And it was just so bittersweet, you know. I really do wish we could have continued, but obviously for, you know, the higher up and higher powers that be, like, you know, it just didn't happen. But if I could be in another universe in some sort of way as Commander Lorna Jemison, or, you know, if they wrote me in as a different character, that would probably be really confusing to fans, but whatever. They can
No.
make it work. They
One
can
of
make
the
it work.
things Star Trek does incredibly well is
Hmm.
casting people for multiple roles and
Right.
dealing with it.
Right.
So I
Absolutely.
wouldn't worry about that in any
Right.
way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the actor Jeffrey Combs has played like 400 characters in Star
Yeah.
Trek by now. So like at this point we know that
True.
like we've accepted the fact that he's going to always show up in different kind of
Yep.
guises and things like
And
that.
also, don't forget, there's still 2 shows currently in production, one of which is set in the 32nd century. So there's no reason why
Right.
we don't see you again.
And there's
Right.
no reason we
Absolutely.
can't circle back to Zara in
Oh, here we
Q3 of
go. That was perfect.
2025.
You just inserted that
Right in,
perfectly.
like I threaded the eye of the needle there. I saw
I
my
think we need to
opportunity
take
and I
this
took it.
offline and discuss.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to. If there's an opportunity that comes my way, you know, I would be humbled to step on another set, Star Trek set, because
Well,
it's
I'm pretty
really is
sure
special.
Frakes is directing some of Starfleet Academy, so I'm pretty sure you can just kind of, hey,
I
you've
know,
done it once, we could do it again.
right?
Zara, what is in outside of obviously, look, we've joked about Q1 2025 and things like that, but what do you see in your future then in terms of say next year and beyond? What is it that you hope to achieve going forward?
Yeah. Oh man, putting some thought into this, and I think I will over the Christmas holidays even more, but definitely to be able to pitch some of the ideas that we have um, through Tabia and get them picked up, that would be huge and amazing. But aside from that, like,
And 3 panels at the TIFF as
oh my
well,
gosh.
2025. Oh my
Yes,
God. And then
yes.
4 at 2026, 5
Oh
at
my God. Okay.
2027.
Okay.
Then
And in 2028,
Okay.
you're just running TIFF. Yeah.
should be doing the concierge, should be doing the hosting, should be taking your order as well as your table, should be going into
No, no, that's way too much. I think
He's
I've
also
learned that,
dropping the
like,
fries.
oh my gosh, I need a team. I need a full team to be able to execute, you know, on such a high level like that. But no, for TIFF, yeah, I mean, yes, 3 events is the goal this year. And however we fall, even if we land at 2, that would still be really great. The 2 ones that we've already done, since we already know the blueprint of what that's going to look like. But yeah, so TIFF definitely. I hope to, in regards to like film and television, I would love to be on a series this year and to be able to like lock in on something for like, you know, 4 to 6 months would be really nice. And then I'm also working on music.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
putting out some singles. This off the top of Q1 of 2025.
Is that the name of your single? Q1 2025? Ah, Jesus,
You know
Sarah,
what?
come
Maybe
on.
I should name it that. That's good.
We'll have to
That's
circle
really
back
good.
to that.
Yes.
Song 2 is going to be Let's Take This Offline.
Goodness. Yeah, so putting out some music, and then just being in like a creative space, I think there's still so many sides of me that I haven't yet to explore. And I think this going into 2025, I think giving myself the opportunity to just venture into things that like I've wanted to for a really long time. And but yeah, that's loosely, I will say that there's still some things I gotta figure out, just we're not done yet. We're still in 2023, so
No,
or
we're not.
2024.
We're 2024. Jesus, Sarah, don't
Oh
lose
my
a full year here,
God.
right?
Do that.
Oh no. Oh man. Yeah.
Right, so one last question. We ask this of all of our guests. It's really easy. You don't have to think about it at all.
Okay.
Zahra Bentham, what does Star Trek mean to you?
Oh. Star Trek means to me, it's like this, like, when like you're sitting in front of the fireplace, you like that cozy feeling, or you're like cozied up with like a warm fuzzy blanket, or you have like really fuzzy slippers on, or you eat that meal that just hits. That's what Star Trek feels like to me. I think I didn't really, I think going in, even having that conversation with myself of being like, I want to be a part of this show. And I didn't think I really understood what it meant to be a part of it in that way. But once I did, join the fleet team, it just felt so good. And it truly does have a special place in my heart. And to all the fans, like, you guys are so loyal, and like it's amazing how you guys show up in the way that you do. And so yes, Star Trek to me means this like warm and cozy feeling that it's given me, and to give me confidence as an actor. So yes.
That's awesome. Zahra, thank you so much for coming on this week's episode. To everyone watching and listening, massive shout out to our Patreons, Cassandra, Aileen, Nina, Chris and David. You guys are incredible. You can join our Patreon from as little as £2, euros or dollars a month using the link in either the podcast or the video description down below. But until next time, remember, live long and prosper.
Bye.